Hi there, we're going to be doing a corkscrew tutorial as requested. So in learning this, I'm going to have my toys shortened. They're about a foot total length from my fingers to the end of them. And that's a nice distance so that you don't have to worry about hitting yourself when you're first learning the hand motions and everything. So you're just going to start off with learning to spin in horizontal planes. The bottom one's going to be the easiest. Point your fingers down and move your hand in tiny circles in a horizontal plane. Kind of like when you're spinning here, your hand moves in a tiny circle to keep the poi going in a vertical plane. Just going to do the same thing, but keep it horizontal. And if you're moving your fingers in that plane, the poi are going to follow. If you slow down, it's going to tend to go towards the bottom. So you kind of have to keep it at a certain speed so it doesn't fall out of orbit. So, you can get the bottom one. Practice both hands, and once you get good at that, then you're going to want to learn to do the top one. Once again, your fingers are moving in that little circle, and you got to keep it going fast enough so it stays in there. This one's going to be a little tricky to keep it flat, but if you keep your hand moving in that horizontal plane, you're going to be fine. It's when you start to move your hand out of that horizontal plane that the poi are going to be going awry. So you keep your hand going in there, the poi will obey you by staying in that flat plane. So get good with both of those, moving in that flat plane, and then start working on going from the bottom to the top. The fingers are going to be pointed up at the top and down at the bottom. And if you notice, this is predominantly a wrist motion. Your arm kind of stays there, and your wrists move up and down and do the little circles. But you don't really need to move your arm at all. You might do a little bit to keep the momentum going, but your arm basically stays in one spot. The poi moves around it. You might have some trouble with it hitting your arm, but that's probably due to you maybe not spinning quite fast enough or having your fingers in the wrong plane. So just keep with it. Should be fairly easy. And the general motion that you're going to be doing is that figure 8 motion. Once again, this one's going to be right in front of you, so you're just tracing this motion with your hand. And you're going to be doing that eventually with both hands together. And what's going to happen is that one hand's going to lead and the other one's going to follow. And for the version that I find easiest to learn was with my left hand leading. So, doing that figure 8, and this one's always going to stay ahead, and the other one follows it around. And you practice that big, and then eventually you refine it down to a small motion. That left one's always going to be leading, and the right one's always following. Now, if you're going to do the other direction, it's just the opposite, where your right is leading and your left is following. And I think once you figure the one out, the other one will be pretty easy to pick up. It's going to be tricky. There's always going to be one direction that's easier to learn than the other one. But I think learning one, you'll be able to practice and figure out the other one. So, once you get good with doing that figure 8 motion with your hands separately, start to bring them together. I like to keep the timing so that they're at the same spot with each poi, and then you should just be able to bring your hands together, and they shouldn't tangle. You might have some trouble with that, but just be able to bring your hands together. And it's the same thing. You're still leading and following like I explained before, but it's very, your right hand's going to be right behind your left, so basically your hands are doing the same thing at the same time. And once you get that, then you can start to alter your timing, speed that leading hand up a little bit, and then get the speeds the same, where you're just in a different part of the rotation. You're still trailing behind it, but you're trailing a little farther behind. You're not to the point where you're completely separate. You can do that, but it doesn't look as nice. So there you have it. That's your corkscrew. Once you can do it like this, then you can start working on the big one. Now for either one of these, I mean, I do the short string so I don't have to have my arms quite as far out, but you're going to want to have your arms out so you're not worried about hitting your face or anything. Keep your poi, even if the long one, well, the long one you're going to be limited more by your torso on the bottom part of the rotation. So let's kind of show you what that's going to look like. The key with this is to make sure that you're going above your head. Your hands are above your head, and they don't have to be right above, but higher than your head for the top part of the rotation. And then when you come to the bottom, you're going to want to have your arms out as far as they can be, and your poi short enough so that you're missing your body here. You might have to arch your back a little bit if they're really long. So, it's the same motion. Keep your hands above your head at the top. Like I said, they don't have to be right above, but they have to be higher, otherwise you're going to hit yourself in the head. We don't want that. So, it's just the same motion. Go out with longer strings. So once you learn the short one, the other one should be fairly easy to pick up on. Just watch your head and watch your body at the bottom. So now for a quick little variation, I'm going to throw in a horizontal buzzsaw into this. And this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be, I'm going to throw the horizontal buzzsaw in. And you can do it from top going to the bottom, like that. Or you can do it from the bottom going up. And the way you do this is you take that leading hand, and when it goes to the bottom, you just kind of keep your hands there. You don't move all the way down. Well, actually, no. Take that back. You keep it at the top. You move your hand down, but it stays at the top part of the rotation. The following hand is going to move to the bottom, and then you're going to be in that horizontal buzzsaw. So then to get out of it, the leading hand is going to come out, and then this one's already at the bottom, so it's just going to move down. And then you're back into it. So into your buzzsaw, and then out. Once you do a rotation at the bottom with the leading hand, you're going to go to the top. Otherwise, you're going to get tangled up at the bottom unless you do a 4-beat. We're learning the basic one now, so don't worry about the 4-beat. So, and then coming from the bottom to the top, your leading hand's going to come to the top, and your bottom hand is going to stay at the bottom, but it's going to move up. So you're still at the bottom part of the rotation, but you've moved up. And then that one's at the top. So to get out of it, your leading one stays at the top part of its rotation, but you move up. And this one's going to cross to the top. And then, once you get really good at working those in, you should be able to just sit there in it. And you can throw them in either way from bottom to top. Or you can do a little thing where you just kind of throw them in on each side. It makes for a nice little variation. So, that gives you something to work on. I'm going to show you this from a higher angle. I've never really done this before, so hopefully it kind of works out. So you kind of see what it looks like from the top. I'm going to hope that my camera is going to show you the entire thing. So here's your corkscrew. And then here's with the buzzsaw in there. Try to do this nice and slow so you can see the whole thing. Here's what it looks like when you're doing the together timing. And then you spread it out into split timing.